When peyote was popularized during the 1960s, many people traveled to Mexico in search of the spineless green button of the mescal family. When they took peyote, it was with no reverence. The purpose was to have a trip or whatever experiences the substance gave them. As you can imagine, those people really in touch with themselves and in a positive environment had a great experience. However, those who were not helped to bring Western attention to the legendary bad trip. And sure enough, with the ease of access to these substances during the 60s, many people who probably weren't mentally fit to handle such a situation engaged in it regardless. Fear, anger, jealousy, and resentment are the thoughts and emotions shamans often attribute to the rise of bad experiences. It is also known that people with certain mental disorders or a family history of schizophrenia should not attempt to alter their consciousness in this manner, if at all. Of course, it wasn't long until these amazing new substances known as psychedelics were quickly banned. This is the only story many people in the United States know about the peyote cactus. In actuality, the historical use of peyote goes back thousands of years among the native people of Mexico. In Mesoamerican tribal traditions, peyote is used as a means by which to enter a spiritual plane and commune with their god. Anywhere from 100 to 1,000 miles may be traveled by a single group once a year in order to obtain the sacred plant for communion. Along the way, they stop at various sacred sites to collect water and say prayers. When they come to the place where the peyote grows, they are careful when they approach it as well as when they use this cactus. It is often called by sacred and or beautiful names and is not something ever taken recreationally. Wisely and with their belief in the interconnectivity of all things and duty to maintain the earth in mind, they leave the roots of the cactus when harvesting so that it will grow back. The ritual itself varies from group to group, but it is not uncommon for practices to include other forms of altering consciousness, such as fasting, sleep deprivation, dancing, singing, and drumming. In group rituals, there is sometimes a sort of confession of wrongdoings in front of the group before one can be blessed and then partake of the peyote. Some tribes even teach their children how to use peyote. Usually anywhere from 6 to 12 buttons are eaten at a time. Some groups prefer to swallow the bitter substance, while others prefer to hold it in their mouth and allow the mescaline to soak into the salivary glands, leading to early onset of effects. When the mescaline begins to take effect, they slowly slip into a new consciousness, one that has been a place of journeying by men since pre-civilization. Visual distortions as well as a change in spatial perception take place. Closed-eye visuals are often extraordinarily complex in colorful geometric patterns, shifting similar to a kaleidoscope. Communication with the deity are subjective. However, it is said that peyote teaches of the interconnectivity of all things, web of life, not only with our planet, but the entire universe. It also teaches that man must maintain harmony with nature. There is no group experience peyote as is common with ayahuasca and high doses of LSD. The common duration for experience is 5 to 8 hours. Peyote is also a good antibiotic and was used at one point in time in unpsychoactive doses by some groups to ease the pain of childbirth.
Everybody in their life, if you live, and you haven't had a heavy psychedelic experience and you haven't gone in an isolation tank, you've missed out. You've missed out on a huge chunk of what life really is. Life is a massive fucking mystery, and there's only a few different ways to really crack below the surface of that mystery, and the best way is psychedelics. And the heavier the psychedelic, the better. Tryptamine, it's produced by your pineal gland. It's actually a gland that's in the center of your brain. It's the craziest drug ever. It's the most potent psychedelic known to man. Literally, but the craziest thing is about it, it's natural. And your brain produces it every night as you sleep. When you sleep, during the time you're in heavy REM sleep and right before human death, your brain pumps out heavy doses of dimethyltryptamine. It's a human neurotransmitter. It exists in every single one of us, and yet it's one of the most illegal substances in the world. It's more illegal than heroin. It's just as illegal as it's the most illegal substance you could possibly get. Yet it exists in almost every ecosystem. All our thoughts on psychedelics are all based on bullshit propaganda that we heard about people, going crazy or losing their minds on. You're not going to go crazy. You're going to go fucking insane. All right, all that stuff is going to remove your ego, and it's going to explain to you what the world is really all about. In complex geometric patterns moving in synchronous order through the air, all around you, in three-dimensional space, and it's like they're arteries, except there's not blood pumping through them. There's fucking light, pulsating lights with no boundaries, and you can't really understand it. And there's an alien communicating with you. And there's a dude who looks like sort of like a Thai Buddha, except he's made entirely of energy, and there's no like outline to him. He's just one thing, and he's concentrating on it, and he's trying to tell me not to give in to astonishment. Just relax and try to experience. The pineal gland that produces it literally is your third eye. In reptiles, it actually has a retina, a cornea, and a lens.
Deep in the South American Amazon, a highly developed form of folk medicine emerged. Ayahuasca is made from the ayahuasca vine and a variety of other plants, depending on local tradition. The leaves of the Psychotria viridis are a common dimethyltryptamine, or DMT, containing admixture. These plants are prepared and then brewed in water for a number of hours. The resulting tea is a concoction of chemicals known as MAOIs, or monoamine oxidase inhibitors, and the active chemical in the admixture, usually DMT. DMT is not orally active because it is broken down by enzymes in the stomach. The MAOIs in the ayahuasca vine stop this breakdown and allow the DMT to pass through the body. Once DMT makes its way into the system, it gets actively transported across the blood-brain barrier and the experience begins. Throughout time, Amazonian shamans have used this concoction as a source of divine inspiration to solve conflicts of emotion, treat the sick, divine the future, work magic, and contact their deity. To become a shaman capable of harnessing the true powers of ayahuasca, one must go through numerous years of training and hands-on experience, which can also involve spending a year or more in the jungles and sticking to a strict diet. Following the trend of the previous examples, ayahuasca ceremonies vary depending on who is conducting them, a tribal shaman or a medicine man from the town or city. Certainly, there is as much diversity between methods used by various tribes, shaman, and between individual medicine men as there is between the tribal traditions and the city-dwelling healers. One theme remains common, however: you must be in nature. These ceremonies often take place in a clearing along the riverside far enough away from civilization that no modern sounds can be heard. Auditory influence is very strong under the influence of ayahuasca. Sometimes a small hut will be built on the spot. It's also notable to mention that in many places in South America, Peru for example, it is not illegal to alter one's consciousness using ayahuasca, San Pedro, and others. It is, however, illegal to do so within the confines of one's own home or in public. The idea here is likely the effort required to legally use this substance would cut down on recreational use. Because of the time-consuming process, the attention that needs to be paid to it, and the belief that all energies around during the brewing process affect the outcome, the concoction is always prepared by the shaman or healer prior to the ceremony. Participants sit in a circle and the leader of the ceremony around passing out portions of the drink. When they are done, they drink a portion themselves and continue to walk around the circle, addressing people's individual needs as they come up. During this time, the healer will also sing sacred songs which vary in purpose. The tradition in the Amazon is that these songs are taught to the shaman by the spirit of the plants which they work. The greater the time they spend journeying with these plants, the more songs they learn, and more powerful ones are revealed. Songs are used for specific purposes such as to heal, to bring clarity to visions, to call spirits of dead shaman, to commune with other spirits or ancestors, etc. Vomiting, known as the purge, is common during the first part of the experience. It is also considered a very important aspect of the experience because the purge is not just physical but spiritual as well. When one is purging in this way, they are also cleansing themselves by expelling negative energy. It is usually after this that the visions start.